Hello and welcome to this discussion in The Wire. I am Ajoy Ashirwad. With me is Amandeep Sandhu, author of this new book on Punjab, and it's interestingly called Punjab only with a different spelling. This book is a comprehensive account of of what Punjab went through over the last few decades. And Punjab is a state right now which is being keenly watched for multiple reasons. One of them being that it bucked the Modi wave in both 2014 and 2019. Before we come to this interview and have some questions for Amandeep, I would like to ask you yourself, right, that your family hails from Punjab, and but you've never stayed in Punjab. You currently live in Bangalore. So, what interested you in Punjab? And as you say that it was kind of a hole in your heart, and there was like a bit of emptiness about everything Punjab. So, what kind of inspired you to write about Punjab?
There are many reasons. But at the core of those reasons is a sense of bewilderment. One of the reasons I lay out in the book is that I was called to a policy institute to speak to students, and I asked them, give me one word that comes to your mind when you think of Punjab. And we tried to make a word picture out of it. And the words were stunning, and I didn't know how they sat with each other. For example, Sikh, yes; music, yes; Sufi, yes; langar, yes; Bhindranwale, yes; terrorism, yes; militancy, yes; Pakistan, yes. So how do these words then sit with each other? I was always, that sort of gave me an impetus to actually undertake this journey to around 3 years. But
You wanted to go back to your roots?
I wanted to look at Punjab in a way in which all these words, which are scattered and they don't give you a central idea, how do they fit with each other? Just to understand it for myself. And so I started in 2015. By chance, when I went, the big farmer agitation over the white fly incident in Malwa, that had started, and I covered those. And then immediately the sacrilege incident started. And I remember Diwali of that year, I looked at myself and said, is my tourism over? Like, have I understood?
You were in middle of very important developments in Punjab.
And the most important for the last 3 years have been these two developments.
These
And
two developments.
they shaped the elections, they shaped the next government also. So I think it was maybe providence or whatever that I went in at that point.
The last two books of yours were autobiographical fiction. So suddenly, was it challenging to come to write non-fiction, and especially on a subject which is also very kind of close to your heart? Your family hails from Punjab. You are a Punjabi, and yet you are in a position to look at Punjab, their social relations, its politics, from also an outsider point of view.
So insider, outsider, definitely my family. My father went to Rourkela and in the steel plant to work there. I was born in Rourkela in Odisha, which is where you come from. And but then for my family reasons, I kept moving in school time, and finally I schooled in Punjab between 83 and 90. I was in a boarding school in Punjab. But then militancy had become strong, and I wanted to live with my mother, so I went back to Odisha again. And since then, I had lived with the trauma of all these things. So the first book is about mental illness, that's because it was familial. But the second book is about 1984 and about what happens to a young teenager there. But this was still a Punjab from memory. I wanted to update myself, or perhaps you can say complete the trilogy, and I went back to do this book. And very interestingly, the first page of the first book starts with my father telling a psychiatrist, I will tell you about Punjab, I will write in English. And at the acknowledgements, when I was writing them down, at the last sentence, I felt my father say to me, have you written it? And I said yes. So in some ways, I'm just living with, there are always personal reasons too.
Yes. Most of the books on Punjab have been academic in nature. So this is a non-fiction meant for lay readers, and how do you differentiate between previous literature on Punjab and your own book? What is your own take?
This is difficult to answer because I've learned from so many, and there have been both. There have been some very fine journalism came out of Punjab during the militancy years, and some good analysis academically came out by scholars. Yet I felt that nobody wants to look at the whole thing. Everybody wants to look at Punjab in pieces. And I wanted to do a book. I mean, even now you ask me, everybody asks me, what is it about? I mean, it is about Punjab. What else is it about? Now, Punjab is itself like a jukebox, like it has a lot of things going on inside, or a Pandora box, But then we will look at them, but I wanted to write I didn't want to, but it so happened that I ended up writing a panoramic view of the state, looking at each of its issues and trying to see the interconnectedness of those.
Okay, but you start with a very preface. Start with a very melodramatic sentence, if I may say. If you want to understand Punjab, be ready to count its corpses.
So, what marked my reason to really go in was that the first 10 years of my life, people in Raurkela, because my father wore a turban, called him Sardarji. Sikhs were considered the farmers and soldiers of the country. Around 83, 84, it all changed. My father, with a turban on his head, became traitor and terrorist. There were mob attacks, all of that. We know what happened in 84. And this spun something in my head. How can I be the same person and be seen through these two very different frameworks by my country? So, when I come to corpses, it is because militancy is, yes, a period of corpses, but if you read through it, you look at the agrarian system of Punjab, and the post Green Revolution aftermath has actually created almost the same number of deaths through agricultural laborers and small and marginal farmers. But even before that, partition was 1 million died, that we can't forget. And then even before that, if you look at independence struggle, you look at the numbers in Andamans, the numbers hanged, there were many Punjabis in that. So, corpses has been a part of Punjab's history, and I thought, let us start looking at it. And this is why, to answer back a previous question of yours, I think actually, I started in end of 2015, September 2015. I thought I'll cover up to elections 2017, February, But when I had done all this and I sat down to write it, I collapsed. That's why I say in the acknowledgement again, 1 year was lost. I don't know where it went. And it went in perhaps my trying to grapple with all these things.
So many multiple
aspects, and how do you deal with it? But it's not only that. It's also Punjab, I felt, is a labyrinthine landmine today, because so many people have so many opinions, most of it anti-state opinions, because everybody has suffered in some way or the other, but even mutually contradicting each other. So you don't know where to stand and whom to believe and how do you make sense of it. So I recorded like 750 hours of interviews, but then I realized there's no use. I mean, what am I really saying? What do I feel? How do I think? And that is why I brought in memoir into reportage. But then I felt, okay, I have brought reportage I'm doing, but memoir I'm connecting with. But then if my readers don't know the contextual history, and even before the readers, if I don't know the contextual history, then how can I make a book?
Yeah.
That is why it became thicker and thicker. Yeah, but then my editor threw out 80,000 words. So imagine it would have been even thicker.
Thicker. So coming back to the book, there's a question that has always been in my mind. When Rahul Gandhi decided to contest from Wayanad also, Modi, Prime Minister he is, coming out of his mouth, it was really surprising, and it took us by shock when he said that Rahul Gandhi has fled from fled to a constituency where minority is majority. Well, in that context, Punjab is a state where Sikhs are in majority, and in Modi's language, it's a state where minority is majority.
Yeah. Punjab state of India is the only region in the world where there is a religious group which is a minuscule minority in the world but is a majority. So, the commonest example is Jews, but Jews have Israel, which is a state of their own. Punjab is part of the Indian Union, you know. So, but coming back to what Modi said, or I have, upon understanding Punjab slowly, I realize it's an outlier state. And the reason is that Hindutva politics is not new to Punjab. It started in 1870s with the beginning of the Arya Samaj and the Singh Sabha in the Sikhs to differentiate between Hindus and Sikhs. And since then, actually, there are these two threads that run through the Sikh history post the Guru period and especially in 1870s onwards. One is whether there is an 11th Guru or not. So, the Sikhs think that the Guru Granth Sahib is the 11th Guru. But there are various sects that break out of Sikhs who have a living Guru as their Guru. Right? So, that happens. Whether Namdharis, Nirankaris, various others, and the Deras nowadays. Second is that the idea that Sikhs are the sword arm of Hindus. Now, that is a very, very contentious statement. RSS, its parent, Arya Samaj, its child, BJP, they all hold on to that Sikhs are the militant sword arm of the Hindus. But the Sikhs say that no, we are an independent religion. Right? So, this is the reason why. And Hindutva politics, what is happening in the country now, happened in Punjab in the 1960s, when there were 35% Sikhs, there were 65% Hindus, but there were these clashes over language. And
Yes,
you know,
I remember Jansangh pulling out of first Prakash Singh Badal's government
in
and
1970.
1970.
Yes. But even that happened after the Punjabi Suba was created. So, the important thing was the National Language Commission that sat from 53 to 56, designated languages to various states and said these are all independent languages, but did not accept Punjabi as an independent language. That is what sparked the Punjabi Suba movement, which ran for 10 years,
10 years.
in which in Punjabi we say it a little more roughly, but the people who came, the Hindus who came from Lahore and settled in Jalandhar and started running media, you know, the Hind Samachar group of newspapers. The original paper was actually in Urdu language, but they started promoting the idea that Punjabi is not a language of the Hindus. So, in the 1961 census, many Hindus went and registered as Hindi as their mother tongue and not Punjabi. Though the fact is that anywhere above Agra in India, you speak Punjabi and everybody understands you. Somewhere or the other, Punjabi is your language, you know. In Punjab especially, you know, the first Punjabi press was started by Taniram Chatrik, who is a Hindu, you know. So there is this, so Punjab has been very wary of Hindutva politics. And Punjab has also seen what happened in 84, and it saw the same thing happening in 2002 in Gujarat. So, it will not go for that kind of politics.
But is the language issue still important for Punjabis?
Now, it is important in a completely reverse way, you know, with the state coming
we
down.
had Moga declaration post militancy,
Yeah.
which emphasized on Punjab, Punjabi and Punjabiyat.
Yes.
So, do you think that which was seen as a renunciation of all militant sentiments, so like they've abandoned and they are entering into a new phase of Punjab politics?
Yeah, but you see where the Akalis are 25 years after that,
right.
you know, like so. But no, it didn't gain currency in Punjab, though the declaration happened, but it didn't gain currency in Punjab because Akalis are mostly viewed as a Sikh party, you know. But there was another, I forgot something.
Yeah, no, but I have a straight question. What do you think are contemporary debates, both political and social, in Punjab?
You were asked about language. Language is a debate. Language is a debate, but it's in a reverse way because from number one state, Punjab is now somewhere middling 15th, 16th in the Indian, you know, development index when you look at it. And the youth just wants to escape. They want to escape either by doing drugs, which helps them escape, or they want to escape literally by migrating somewhere else. And all of them needs IELTS and TOEFL exams for that. So they are like coming to English with vengeance. We have to learn this idiotic language, they feel, but they have to crack those 6 band, 7 band on IELTS and have to escape Punjab. So Punjabi is a threat from that side now, and convent schools in Punjab now advocate Hindi and English as languages. They actually frown upon children who speak Punjabi, because Punjabi is always associated with rural, and to be urban is to be Hindi and English. That is also the power dynamics of Punjab.
So,
So the other main issues today are drugs.
drugs.
It's huge, And in spite of governments coming, governments going and making promises on the Guru Granth Sahib, which is what Captain Amrinder did, the situation on the ground is pathetic. It's very bad, Or like Captain promised, I will waive off the farmer loans. What loans is he waiving off really? Like the biggest thing that gets to the biggest reason for suicide is that a farmer who owes money to the bank does not want to be shown up. Right? But with Amrinder government's loan giving, they are putting up the names and photographs of people on the bank. This thing saying, "Oh, these people's loans are now waived," and this is the ultimate insult.
Yeah, I was like also wondering about the social issues. So Sikhism was founded as a casteless religion, and but when we look at the census, if seen in terms of population, Punjab has the highest number of Dalits. Almost more than 30% of the whole Punjabi population is Dalits. So, and the mushrooming of deras, it's said that it attracts a large number of these groups, marginalized Dalit groups. There's a vibrant pop scene which emphasizes the Chamar identity. And so, could we talk about how do you deal with these questions in your book?
I deal by getting depression.
Yeah.
No, but really,
Yeah.
these are the realities that hit me. And this naive child living in Raurkela, mummy tells him Punjab is the land of heroes, and he believes that Punjab is the land of justice and equality. And when he actually sees the amount of discrimination, I cover attacks on Dalit groups and announcements being made from Gurdwaras, and I mean, what can be worse than that?
In fact, when I went to Punjab multiple times, and in every village there's a separate Dalit Gurudwara these days, and obviously funded by the Dalit diaspora of Punjab. So, but in places like Malwa, where Dalits are still face social boycotts if they ask for even a slightest increase in their wages. So these are the kind of trends.
Increase or other things. I mean, the big movement that is going on now is the Zameen Prapti movement, which is the law says that Dalits are entitled to 1/3 of the common lands in the village, but since 1960s the law has been in existence. But it's only by 2008 that first village, Benada, they started protesting, and now it is growing in the Malwa. There are around, if I'm not wrong, 80 to 100 villages.
Panch Marla Zameen.
No, that is another one. That is another one. This is the village common lands should come to Dalits through auctions. They will pay for it. They will bid for it and they will get it, but it has to be regulated. But forever the Jats have been putting up Dalit fronts and have been taking the land, for agriculture. Panjmarla is another one that has never been fulfilled, like small housing for the Dalits. Caste is huge in Punjab, and it was so, finally it was sad to acknowledge it, but I would acknowledge it.
But do you see a connection between deras and this kind of social practices within the Sikh?
It is all interrelated. I won't say there is only one reason why deras come up. See, finally when I have been talking to the activists, they tell me that Zameen Prapti or the Panjmarla or the Dera, it's all a search for dignity. And wherever they find dignity, they will go for it, And they are right in doing so. At one time, when the Gurus created the Sikhs, they created them for dignity. to be able to stand up and have your own, assert your rights. That's why the community, the religion was created. And if now there are people who are disenfranchised from it because Jats mistreat the Dalits in their own Gurdwaras, they have all the right to go out and make their own. But overall, what happens to Punjab through all this? It just keeps getting lacerated, cut down, and we never come back to a sense of Punjabiyat.
But none of these assertions from the marginalized groups have reflect so much in politics. For example,
There
both
was Kanshiram and
yeah, there was, but right now both Congress and Shiromani Akali Dal, both these parties are dominated by Jat Sikh leaders
Yes.
who are
25%.
yeah, land-owning community, primarily and primary perpetrators of caste violence on ground. So, have you dealt with those
yes,
aspects?
because this was a brilliant time to see these two who have been forever, who have, I say, they have fortified Punjab, and they had a nice thing going between them, exchange of powers, one time Congress, one time Akali, one time Congress, until in the last elections in 2007, 2012, when Manpreet Badal broke away from the Akalis and cut a little bit of Congress votes, so Congress couldn't come back to power. It lost by 1.5%. But this time there was Aam Aadmi Party, and in the 2014 elections, if you look at it, the only 4 MPs to win from Aam Aadmi Party were from Punjab, and they won without even booth level management, with no cadre, because Punjab listens to that vibe. It listens to it has this desire to listen to honesty, to transparency, to anti-corruption. These are words which ring very beautifully with Punjab, because Punjab has stood as a land like that historically. So when this appeal came, they just rushed to give votes, and under 3 constituencies, Aam Aadmi Party was second. So it had a very, very good thing going for it, and it could just walk in. And we had laid our hearts open, and when Punjabis lay their hearts open, then they just give everything for it. But I trace in the book how the Aam Aadmi Party kept making mistake after mistake after mistake, and finally what they claimed they will win over 100 seats, they got only some 20,
They did well only in Malwa.
only in Malwa.
Yeah,
And but that also, how well? I mean,
Yeah,
20
well,
is
20 is
nothing.
Yeah. But the other thing is like.
So it is also a trajectory to notice that, to see how a third front, which is very essential to Punjab, and third front is not new. Even BSP came up there in the late 80s.
Been losing its
there
vote
has been
share.
Simranjeet Singh Man's party also. They were in tie-up once, So there has been a need for third front, but a third front finds it so hard to come up, because people are no longer willing to give in to the lies that the politicians give them. This time, if Congress won comprehensively, it was really because Captain Amrinder held the holy book in his hand and made the promise, and people are watching that promise. The Akalis have gone down because of the issue of sacrilege and what happened in this over 200 incidents of sacrilege. Sometimes they just overreach,
But do you think that this religious identity plays a greater role than the crumbling economic edifice of Punjab, which you deal with the collapse of agrarian economy in your book? So you're talking about that. So
yes.
could we
Not only agrarian, even industrial, even education economy, even health economy, everything is
the
crumbled.
Jat Sikhs themselves, the dominant community, they are suffering now.
They are suffering, and
Yeah.
they all want to escape. They all want to go away somewhere. It is.
That's why we see such a huge diaspora, Punjabi diaspora in Canada, for example.
So that is why the book begins with, you have to count the corpses.
Corpses, yeah.
It's not only the corpses of people, corpses of ideas, corpses of what has happened to fights, So, and I'll say it in Punjabi once, like Satpal Danish said, "Lashan ginniya pehnagiyan." And I've been trying to count the corpses. I'm actually standing in the graveyard of the world and counting the corpses there,
But now Punjab has gone through many cycles of violence. Like first partition, Punjab was almost divided into half, or the greater Punjab went to Pakistan, and it was also one of the worst victims of partition violence. Yet the partition wounds have somehow subsided if compared to people of Delhi or Uttar Pradesh who were similar victims of partition that time? Why do you think it happened?
Punjabis are also a very practical community. All Punjabis, I don't mean Sikhs alone, Hindus,
They
Sikhs,
don't like harbor the
Dalits
same
as well.
hatred for Muslims like a partition victim in Delhi would.
There I would distinguish between Sikhs and Hindus. The Hindus would harbor this thing. The Sikhs still know that, Punjab is Punjab, like it's like whether this side of border or that side. And we can come to the Kartarpur through that. But something that I want to just quickly emphasize is that Punjab beats to a different drum. And it is looking for sincerity in leadership. And it rejects these models of government. It rejects all that. It's people with great difficulty. The 2017 elections, long-standing Akali voters, I met hundreds of them. They were all very, very pained to no longer give their vote to the Akalis. But then they saw through it. I am not presenting Punjab as a model of anything, because what is going on in India now, honestly I felt that looking at the present of Punjab was to look at the future of India as a country, and it is proving true. The kind of politics the country has given into, the kind of what happened with the Ayodhya verdict, all of this Punjab has seen. And Punjab is still grappling, trying to somehow come up with an alternate leadership which can take it out. But then the control of Delhi, the control of the state remains very, very heavy. The flip side of this book was to see how powerful the state is.
In fact, Punjab saw 2 decade-old Khalistan
So
violence, and that's a recurring theme in your book.
yeah,
You've
so
shown
it
the human
recovered
side of.
from partition partly because of the Green Revolution. And the Punjabis got a task, we have to feed this country. It is 1.5% of the land, and it produced over 60% of the food. So that helped it. But then they also realized, see, militancy just did not grow out of one thing or another. And that's why the Khalistan is repeated as a motif, because to me personally it is actually limiting that the word remains Khalistan, but there have been different kinds of demands over the last few decades from the Sikh community which have not been met. And I'll take it back to Motilal Nehru's 1929 Purna Swaraj, which was opposed by Muhammad Ali Jinnah, which was opposed by Baba Saheb Ambedkar, and also by the Akalis under Master Tara Singh. Jinnah finds a way to Pakistan. Baba Saheb Ambedkar informs all our discussions today. But where is the Sikh history? Where is Punjab's history? And then the river waters in the 1966 trifurcation of Punjab. And actually, if you look in 40s, there was a movement called Azad Punjab. They wanted a different state, India, Pakistan, and Azad Punjab. But then the Sikhs, accustomed to the way they have stayed with the body of India, they rejected partition, and then they rejected Pakistan. But what did they get in return? These are also questions that we need answers for. What actually drove me to utter sadness is that Anandpur Sahib resolution in 1973 and 78, it had proposed a few things. Of course it has a long Sikh preface, because it has come from a religion. If you leave it aside, you look at the very simple things written there. It is all about center-state relationships. It is about greater federalism.
Punjab, in fact, has since then been a state which is directly taking on the center.
Yes.
Yes.
Because
not
the
conforming
demands
to
are
the-
not wrong.
Yeah, the demands are not wrong.
But they were dissed in the 80s when the Rajiv Gandhi Sarkaria Commission came up. Like the Tamil Nadu had also presented there was a panel report from there by the DMK government, But militancy has various roots. Why a wound festered like that and why it burst out.
You present a very human side of this whole cycle of violence. You show how people are affected in their were affected in their daily lives, and how. So I think that's a very good account of how what people went through. I could almost feel it.
But then that's the point of
Point,
writing,
writing,
Like, I
yes.
mean, you want to write so that there is this discourse going on of labels and throwing it at each other. But then there is life happening. And I lived through Punjab's villages and towns and understood to fill the hole in my heart, as you said, but it filled with empathy, finally, you know. And coming down to today's use of the term Khalistan, it stands hugely for action on human right violations which happened during the course of militancy. Thousands have disappeared. So many extrajudicial killings.
But there are people saying that when the West, the diaspora, are again kind of reaching out to different Khalistani elements. Bhindranwala is a new figure.
Bhindranwale has always been a big figure. He grows every year in stature. He's like Che Guevara. Che Guevara grows, right?
But in Punjab, people are very anti-militancy.
Yes.
Each and every step that they do is to kind of set aside that they don't want to repeat the same cycle of violence.
Because see, you also have to look at India was a very young nation in 1980s. The Sikhs had their own way of life. They had their own, good or bad or whatever, but they had their own independent way of functioning, which suddenly they now had to submit to the Indian constitution, to the Indian laws, to the Indian, and to lose the swords or the guns with which they always fought for justice, to finally now get a ink mark on their finger and vote in a party, which may or may not, do. This is not the way the Punjabi mindset is.
I
right?
think this justice is very, very
It is
important.
a very important part of it.
Punjab.
Yes.
Yeah,
But then
and
vengeance
Punjabi
is also
psyche.
an important. Revenge is also an
an
important. But that time, a religious leader who was growing in stature could command a certain kind of attraction towards himself, right? Then when Blue Star happens, that shatters Punjab's trust in the Indian state. Because, and I quote Rousseau and others, like to say, what is it to be a citizen of any state? It is to have trust in the system that they will take care of us and we will participate in it. That trust broke.
Amarinder Singh had to publicly apologize. He left the Congress.
Yes,
And
yes. So when people ask why is Congress coming back, it is not that Congress. It is a different Congress which is under Amarinder Singh, But sadly, everybody at the end just proves to be not that, But when Blue Star happens, people's, Punjab's and especially Sikhs, faith in the Indian system shatters. That is why it is a watershed moment. And then when the pogrom happens in Delhi and other cities of North India, that they lose on something much more deeper. And when justice is denied for another 35 years, then what do you say to that? But in the same 35 years, the Akalis have managed to dominate the SGPC and the Gurdwaras and actually erode the religion also. So that is why I feel that this huge, I wish people would pay a little more attention to what they are saying when they start saying, oh, Punjab will burst into militancy. Militancy doesn't happen like that. But there is a huge reason here for us to pay attention to justice.
Yeah, as you said, the immediate attention that any government should pay is to attend to some number of human rights violations that happened over
Everywhere
the years.
in then Punjab, but Bastar, but Kashmir, but Mizoram, everywhere there are human rights violations. So is this the only way the state progresses?
And probably that is the reason why Punjab was the only state to openly criticize the centre's move in Kashmir.
Absolutely. It will always stand by that. It keeps trying to stand for justice. Let's say it like that. I'm not saying it always stands.
Yeah,
but
but
there is an innate desire to stand with justice, which is religious, which is cultural, which is also social, political. And that is why this whole talk about Kartarpur Sahib. If Pakistan has to destabilize India, why does it need that one corridor? Like there are 553 kilometers of border only with Punjab, and there are, and if drugs come in, then even somebody else can come in, it's not like so unthought of. But what worries, I think, people, and they keep making this noise in Delhi TV studios, is that end of the day, the Sikhs were not treated well. And when their long desire is being fulfilled, they will not remain as antagonistic as you want them to be against a neighbor. That is what worries them. You know, it is not that Pakistan is actually going to throw something through that corridor, but it is talking to the Sikh community. It is giving them their sense of, it is rehabilitating a certain right they had. And I have travelled, you have travelled the borders of Punjab. I travelled when the Uri incident happened, and I asked the people on the border. I said, "You have been moved so many times. I have been moved 7 times: 47, 65, 71, Operation Kargil, Brass Tacks, Operation Rakshak, and then during Uri, they were asked to move back." And I'm asking these people, "What do you feel about it?" And they say, "We are so tired that this time we would not move back and we would not support the Indian army also." They are bitter. Instead of solving the bitterness of people, if we keep forcing a type of nationalism on them, then Punjab has been a different nation forever. It's been a nation which was at the intersection of the East and the West. Millions of people have walked through it over history.
But yes, I mean, they will leave it at this. But as you said, that in their fight for justice, I think Punjab has managed to retain its humanism even now. So, which seems to be fading in multiple other places. So, they finally come back to the essence of humanism is quite prime. If anyone talks to people, they may act differently, but their rhetoric is built on this essence of humanism, I think.
I did feel a huge gap between what it says and what it does.
Yeah.
And I do hope that gap narrows and they do what they say. At the same time, if you could see humanism in this book, I am most thankful for that.
So I'll end at that. And people, this is the book. It will be released a day after tomorrow. And to understand Punjab well, it's a fascinating read. This is the book you should buy.
To receive instant updates on all videos from The Wire, click the subscribe button and hit the bell icon. Pay to support independent journalism. Click the link in the description and choose the amount you want to pay.